Controversy in Washington over President Trump's national emergency declaration. America mourns the death of the man who championed Title IX, and a group of OU students dedicate their spring break to community impact. Live from Gaylord Hall, this is OU Nightly. Thank you for joining us on OU Nightly. I'm Parker Thune.
And I'm Brooke Murski. We begin this evening with a bombshell vote in the U.S. Senate. 12 Republicans joined Democrats in a decision to overturn President Donald Trump's national emergency declaration.
Oklahoma Senators Jim Inhofe and James Lankford were not among those 12 Republicans, instead siding with the president. OU Nightly's Kelsey Hovanetz joins us in the News Center with the details of the vote. Kelsey.
Parker and Brooke, the Senate voted 59-41 to block the president's national emergency declaration. The resolution now heads to the president's desk, where he'll most likely issue the first veto of his presidency.
I'll probably have to veto, and it's not going to be overturned.
But Democratic Representative Joaquin Castro, who wrote the resolution, is urging lawmakers to vote against the anticipated veto, which would require a two-thirds majority in both the Senate and the House. And lawmakers passed a resolution today to make special counsel Robert Mueller's report on President Trump public. The resolution, which is not legally binding, was supported by both parties in a unanimous 420-0 vote in favor of making the report public. The GOP-controlled Senate is not expected to take on the resolution, which also calls for the entire report to be given to Congress. Mueller is required to submit the report to Attorney General William Barr once it's complete, but it's not clear how much of that will be available to the public. And former Texas Congressman Beto O'Rourke announced today that he is running for president in 2020. O'Rourke rose to national stardom during his unsuccessful run for Senate last year. His announcement today, which he made in a 3.5-minute Twitter video alongside his wife, came with a call for Americans to look past their differences and to confront the challenges facing the country. He held his first campaign event this morning at a coffee shop in southeast Iowa. And Brooke, the Connecticut Supreme Court has ruled that the gunmaker Remington can be sued. One of the company's guns was used to kill 20 students and 6 teachers at Sandy Hook Elementary back in 2012.
Thank you, Kelsey. American Airlines announced today they're bringing 9 Boeing 737 MAX 8 jets to Tulsa. A few of the planes landed today with only crew on board. American Airlines has room to park the planes indefinitely in Tulsa because of a huge maintenance base operated there.
Well, Brooke, it appears spring has finally sprung. The last couple days have been gorgeous.
You are certainly right, Parker. And for that, here we have a preview from Joe DeCarlo joining us live. Joe?
Yeah, guys, we are live outside right now on the South Oval. Now, the sun has been in and out throughout the afternoon, but right now it is a very gusty afternoon. Winds are gusting throughout the state right now at 20 to 25 miles an hour, with gusts exceeding 30 miles an hour in some spots. Now, coming up on weather, we will talk about this breezy afternoon, also talking about your spring break forecast and lots of sunshine in your 7-day. From a windy South Oval, back to you guys in the studio.
Thanks, Joe. The Bethany Police Department is close to identifying the third body found at Lake Overholser. Deputy Chief John Reed tells us that they are waiting for the medical examiner to make a positive ID. The third person was approximately 60 years old and a resident and homeowner in Bethany. His death is said to be nothing suspicious, and police have concluded the cause of death was elemental. Now, Chief Reed says there is no connection between this individual and the other 2 bodies found in February.
And earlier today, former U.S. Senator Birch Bayh passed away at his Maryland home. The congenial Democrat served 18 years in the Senate. Bayh most notably authored the 25th Amendment to the Constitution, which states the vice president will take over if the president can no longer serve, and the 26th Amendment, which guarantees the right to vote to 18-year-olds. He also wrote the landmark Title IX legislation, which barred gender discrimination in educational institutions. Birch Bayh was 91 years old.
Now, the Southern Climate Impacts Planning Program, or SCIP, has received a $2.3 million grant over 3 phases. As part of the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, SCIP is one of the regional integrated sciences and assessment teams. This OU-led research team covers the states of Texas, Oklahoma, Louisiana, Arkansas, and coastal Mississippi.
These RESA grants go for 3 to 5 years with the idea that you build longer-term relationships with stakeholders in order to hopefully have better, more usable science in the end.
SCIP improves a community's adaptability to the adverse effects of climate extremes by focusing on and planning for preparedness for coastal impacts, climate adaptation, use of sub-seasonal predictions, and drought.
The Norman Parks and Recreation Department is hosting a Senior Center Vision Conference tomorrow. It will include presentations from leaders in the realm of senior center planning. What was once the public library has been the current senior center for a number of years now, and its residents are ready for a change.
The feedback we've gotten so far from residents is that they want more of a wellness center, and this is kind of what we're, and part of the reason we're having these input sessions. So we're bringing in somebody to talk about the different kinds of models with senior centers around the country. Then we're going to go over the process of from point A to point B.
The event will begin at 10 a.m. and is expected to last until 4 p.m. Lunch will also be provided. Now, Brooke, it's no secret that fast food is a detriment to health. However, you may be surprised just to hear how prevalent it is in the American diet.
Well, also, many of us may hit the beach or the slopes for spring break, but some are spending their week off serving those in need. Stick around, you're watching OU Nightly.
Welcome back to OU Nightly. The opioid crisis is a nationwide problem.
But Oklahoma is about to take center stage, at least legally. Baylee Bates joins us now with that and the rest of today's health headlines. Baylee?
Brooke, the Oklahoma Supreme Court will not immediately postpone the start of a civil trial that claims drug makers intentionally fueled an opioid epidemic. The court will wait to decide if the start of the trial will be postponed when they hear that request in on March 20th. The Oklahoma Supreme Court will decide whether or not to postpone the start of the trial by 100 days. Right now, the trial is set to start in Cleveland County on May 28th. Several states have filed similar lawsuits against the drug makers, but Oklahoma's is expected to be the first to go to trial. And on a lighter note, we often think someone who weighs less has a faster metabolism compared to someone heavier because they never show for what they eat. However, that is not the case. The bigger your body, the more calories you're burning. That's because your metabolism has to work more in order to keep the body functioning and provide energy. When you first try to lose weight, the initial 10 or so pounds come off much faster than the rest. That's because as you lose mass, your metabolism doesn't need to work as hard. Several other things come into play, like your body composition. And ordering a burger or a bucket of chicken from a fast food restaurant is something we all love to do. Some of us maybe a little too much. According to a new study conducted by the CDC, nearly 85 million U.S. adults consumed fast food on a regular basis. The role fast food plays in the American diet has not only grown, but has also contributed to health risks like obesity, high blood pressure, type 2 diabetes, and heart disease. The data also showed that people who ate a lot of fast food varied by age, income level, and gender. I mean, guys, I love fast food. I mean, it's quick, it's easy, but there are a lot of health concerns with it. So it's important that everyone kind of measures out how much intake they're getting in.
Absolutely, and that stat is just crazy. 85 million people consuming this is part of their everyday diet, really.
I know. It would be interesting to see, what kinds of food, if it's fried or not. But Thanks, Baylee. While some students use spring break to get travel or to get some rest, others are using their time off to help the underprivileged. 7 students at the Wesley are going on one of the most impoverished areas of the U.S. to help give to the community. McAllen, Texas has a 12% unemployment rate and 38% of residents live below the poverty line. Wesley intern Skylar Rodriguez says it's hard to recruit students who want to give up their spring break, but the church is pleased with the group of hard workers leaving this Friday.
It just gives you more opportunity to get out into the world, and so many people believe that you have to go to third world countries or go far away, but we have people in our own backyard that need mission work.
For more information on the Wesley, stop by the building on the corner of Lindsay and Elm.
Well, the sun is out, and so are Oklahoma fishermen. As temperatures increase, the action out on the water is heating up as well.
And speaking of weather, Joe has a full look at your forecast coming up.
Yeah, sun and clouds mixed right now, but that Oklahoma wind is bringing in cooler conditions. How long that will last, coming up. Welcome back to OU Nightly. We're taking a live look at Norman right now. Now, some clouds have filtered in from the north, and right now we're sitting at 53 degrees with west-northwest winds at 24 miles an hour. Now, it's a breezy afternoon, but it doesn't compare to what it was yesterday. Now, max wind gust yesterday, thanks to a low-pressure system in northwest Kansas, brought wind speeds up to 96 miles an hour in Colorado Springs. Now, here in Oklahoma, it was 73 in Gage and 53 in Norman. Now, this is just incredible considering we did not have any storms along with these wind gusts. Now, right now, cooler conditions have returned. Right now, we're at 53 in Norman, 50 in Oklahoma City, is 48 in Woodward. Now, this is cooler than what we were yesterday. Right now, we're sitting at 16 degrees colder than we were at this time yesterday, upwards of 20 degrees colder in northwestern Oklahoma. Now, throughout the country, we see a cold front that went through here. It's 53 in Chicago, but it's colder behind the front, 32 in Bismarck and 36 in Denver, where they saw blizzard conditions during the day yesterday. Now, taking a look at your temperature forecast here, we will be in the 50s, and then looking today, tomorrow, we will cool off and also be around 50 degrees, and we will slowly warm up through the weekend. Saturday, middle 50s, and then going into your day on Sunday, we will be back around 60 degrees with sunny skies both days. Now, for your lows tonight, we will be around freezing, 33 in Norman, 32 in Oklahoma City, and then highs tomorrow, low to mid 50s with 52 in Oklahoma City and 50 in Woodward. Now, looking at that 2-day forecast, tomorrow will show a lot of sunshine. Will also be less windy with temperatures around 52 degrees. And then Saturday, some clouds return, and we also will be warming up. And that warm trend will continue for the rest of the week with temperatures around 60 degrees, which is just about average for this time of year, but no chances of rain in your 7-day and no storm system. So we will be mainly dry for the rest of the week.
Well, Joe, I'm glad to hear that the wind is kind of going to disappear.
Yes.
I know it's not unfamiliar to Oklahoma, but I just about fell over walking to class these past 2 days.
Yeah, we had some gusty winds, and it was even worse up to the north, so that's just incredible. Considering we didn't have any storms, it was really windy.
Well, thanks so much, Joe.
Thank you.
The OKC weather broke into the 70s last Saturday, and some local fishermen took full advantage. OU Nightly's Luke Hall takes us just north of Lake Hefner.
So that's behind.
Okay.
So this
We're in the shop of the H.B. Parsons Fish Hatchery.
A hatchery that Oklahoma City's fisheries biologist Bob Martin has spent the last 37 years working for.
Well, I've had a lot of experience. It's always been a lot of fun.
But this Saturday, some Oklahoman anglers stopped in for a unique visit.
So fly fishing, I would say it's not the most common form of fishing. It's probably ranks a little behind noodling or something like that, but
Noodling might sound a little more familiar for Oklahomans, but Eric Diltz and other members of the 89er chapter of Trout Unlimited wanted to teach a different way to cast a hook. Diltz described fly fishing as a more artistic form of fishing to the eager learners. The course covered all of the basics of the sport, from different types of line to rods and reels to even the best nets and bags. And on a morning where the winter weather finally let up, the Oklahoma winds did not. But that didn't stop these fishers from trying their hand at a little casting.
this is just one of the missions that the 89er and chapter and Trout Unlimited have, is to provide aquatic education and fly fishing. That's part of the education component.
As these fishermen try and take to the Oklahoma streams to apply their new skills, Diltz said there's plenty of chances to do so.
There's lots of opportunities here across the state, and fly fishing's more than just trout.
The class will be offered again on September 14th and is open to anglers of all experience levels. For more information, visit the Oklahoma City Parks and Recreation website. Near Lake Hefner, Luke Hall, OU Nightly.
And if fly fishing isn't the type of fishing you're looking for, the Fish Hatchery also offers free conventional fishing classes throughout the year.
Well, the Big 12 basketball tournament is underway in Kansas City, and Selection Sunday is now just 3 days away.
That's right, and now the Sooners may be sweating it out when the NCAA tournament field is announced. Cal Day is here to tell us why. Cal, take it away.
Hey team, the Sooners have a long wait as Selection Sunday nears. Plus, Paul George meets some old friends tonight. Stick around, sports is on the other side. Welcome back. It's time for Sport Time Cal Day. The Sooners were sent packing in the first round of the Big 12 tournament. Oklahoma and 10 seed West Virginia tipped off in Kansas City in a highly competitive bout that was back and forth the entire time. Trailing by 3 in the last seconds, Christian James appears to sink a 3 to send it to overtime, but after a lengthy review, it was determined his foot was on the line. It's ruled a 2 and the Sooners fall as the Nears hang on to win 72-71. Now, that's not the only drama from the tournament. The Pokes trailed by as much as 21 against the Horned Frogs before storming back to life. In the last seconds of the game, TCU's Desmond Bain sunk a 3 from the corner and a heartbreaking loss for the Cowboys. Meanwhile, Iowa State is advancing to the next round after handling Baylor, a 17-point loss earlier. And Kansas State knocked off TCU moments ago. The action continues tonight in Kansas City as West Virginia and Texas Tech square off. After that, we'll see the Jayhawks and the Longhorns. And Kara Karbs is here with a look at one Sooner who showed out at Pro Day. Kara?
While former Sooner quarterback Kyler Murray had an impressive performance at Pro Day, so did OU kicker Austin Seibert. Seibert was consistent with his kicks, but what seemed to be most impressive was his 55-yard kick he nailed. And anyone who watched the NFL last year could tell you it was not a good year for kickers. For the 2018 season, teams were making on average 82.6% of field goals. This is the worst that it's been since 2010, which can make Seibert in high demand come draft day.
Couldn't really ask for much better, just making kicks and hoping people like what I'm doing out there on the field. So I was happy with my performance at the Combine and today.
Seibert is one Sooner that seems to go unnoticed despite his electric season last year. Last season, he made 87 out of 88 extra points, and he is a leading scorer for the Big 12. And Cal, I'd say they liked what he was doing after his 55-yard kick. Scouts lined up to talk to him. I wouldn't be surprised if we see Seibert drafted not only because of his performance at Pro Day, but also his record at OU.
All right, thank you very much, Kara. And while several former Sooners, including Seibert, are looking for those contracts, one just inked a new deal. Adrian Peterson has agreed to a 2-year extension worth $8 million with the Redskins. Now, last season, AD rushed for over 1,000 yards and 7 touchdowns in Washington. And Russell Westbrook recorded his 25th triple-double of the season and last night's win over the Nets. It was a slow start for the Thunder, who fell behind early and trailed at the half. However, it was a different story in the second half. At the end of the day, Paul George scored 25 and Jeremy Grant added 15 of his own en route to a 108-96 win at the peak. The Thunder hit the road tonight to take on the Pacers, a familiar foe for PG. And from the pros to the prospects, Duke's Zion Williamson is expected to rejoin the team tonight as the Blue Devils meet Syracuse in the ACC tournament. As you may remember, Williamson blew out his shoe and went down last month with a knee injury. Williamson is expected to be a top prospect in the upcoming NBA draft. And now that Duke has Zion back, I don't know about you guys, but for my March Madness bracket, I think I'm going to, move Duke a little bit higher now.
Well, they're going to need Williamson on his game in this ACC tournament in what is an absolutely loaded conference.
Mm-hmm. Thanks, Cal. Well, Joe DeCarlo will rejoin us in just a bit with their final look at the Oklahoma weather.
Plus, math whizzes and dessert lovers alike join forces behind a delectably ambiguous holiday. Stay tuned.
Welcome back. I'm Robert McGee at the OU Nightly Update Desk. Today, the state Senate voted 40-8 on a bill that now lets voters decide if women have the right to an abortion in Oklahoma. Republican Senator Greg Treat wrote the bill and says it addresses a real threat. He says other states, such as Iowa, uses their state constitution to allow women the right to their own body. Treat's bill would ban abortions in Oklahoma if the U.S. Supreme Court overturns abortion nationwide. Back to you in the studio.
Thanks, Robert. Now, Brooke, today is March 14th, 314. So math people claim today is Pi Day in honor of the mathematical value 3.14. Personally, I celebrate the day by using that figure to calculate the circumference of an actual pie right before I eat it.
How thoughtful of you. Well, whether you celebrate the number pi or the edible pie, today is a day to indulge. Thanks. Well, spring break is on the horizon, and we've got a few travel tips for you from Will Rogers World Airport here in Norman.
Let's have a look at what we got.
Let's see. So, first of all, I think what you should do, well, obviously arrive early. Also, don't forget a valid ID. This includes regular ID or passport.
You'll need to check in for your flight early. Many airlines offer an online check-in option. And then, of course, be prepared to remove your computers and other electronics from carry-on bags when you're going through security so the TSA doesn't nip you.
Mm-hmm.
Joe, what do you have for us before we sign off here?
So the Oklahoma weather will actually be nicer than a few of the popular spring break destinations this upcoming week. Now, right now, Daytona will be in the 60s during the week next week, with rain showers around each and every day. 80s in Cancun, but some showers. But 70s in Las Vegas with plenty of sunshine. And here in Oklahoma, sunshine and around 60 degrees.
Awesome.
So spring weather.
Thanks so much, Joe, and thank you for watching OU Nightly live from Gaylord College on the campus of the University of Oklahoma.
We won't have a newscast tomorrow or next week during spring break, but we'll see you back here Monday, March 25th at 4:30.
Have a fun and safe break.
Good night.